Hey, we're back again, the Coon Prairie Ramblers. And we're back in Arcadia, back in the saddle again.
Meanwhile, back at the ranch.
Yeah.
I thought we'd talk a little bit about local history. Arcadia is not a super old a city, a town like a lot of places are, but it's pretty rich in history. A lot has happened here.
Yeah. Florida history doesn't go real far. I mean, ancient Florida history does,
well,
but as far as civilized Florida history.
Oldest city in the United States is in Florida.
Yeah,
that's right.
But that's compared to the rest of Florida,
Well, it wasn't settled because it was just jungles and mosquitoes and stuff.
Yeah. I read the book, A Land Remembered.
Yep.
And basically kind of got an idea how, was in this area back 150 years ago or something like that.
Yep.
And which wasn't really a whole long time ago.
No, there wasn't a lot going on here then.
Nothing here. Well, nothing much. No. I've been to the Gamble Mansion. Gamble Mansion, and that was kind of like early, wasn't it?
Probably if we had mansions.
Civil War era.
Mansions.
When was Arcadia established?
Well, it began right on the river west of town out there as Waldron's Landing, because those are some of the earliest settlers. A lot of people travel by the river because you had nothing but cow trails, basically, and a few paths and small roads, but nothing was paved. It was all dirt, clay, if there even was any movement. But a lot of them traveled by river, and there was a nice spot here where some families started settling. It had like a little settlement out there. It was called Waldron's Landing because of the Waldron family. And back years ago, the river wasn't quite as wide as it is now, and it had higher banks in some areas, and there was some vegetation that grew along the banks sticking out. They said it resembled potato vines, so they started calling the place Tater Hill Bluff. It was on the bluffs, and they were like potato plants, potato vines. They called it Tater Hill Bluff for a while, and then this is probably 1860s, 1870s, and then in 1886 it took on. It became incorporated, and it became the city of Arcadia.
After Arcadia Albritton.
Well, that's the most popular theory, that it was named for a girl named Arcadia Albritton.
Boss Henry.
But you try to tell people, or you try to tell them the truth, and they don't want to believe that Arcadia Albritton was not a little 12-year-old girl who baked a birthday cake there.
For Boss Henry.
Yeah, I mean, the cake was baked, but the girl was not 12 years old. She was up in her 20s and had kids by then. Mm-hmm. She was living at home with her parents. I don't know where the father was, but there was a man named Boss Hendry, as Casey said. James Hendry was a preacher, and he had a portable sawmill, which he drove here from the Tampa area by ox cart or mule or whatever, and he coming to the settlement here, Tater Hill Bluff, and he stopped off in the Horse Creek area and spent the night with the Albritton family, Thomas Albritton and his family. And he told them at supper that night, you didn't know these people. People just would take strangers in back then. He told the people that the next day would be his 45th birthday. And so the next morning when he got up, there was a cake baked for him. And they didn't sing the Happy Birthday song because it wasn't written until 1933. So if you're ever watching any old TV shows, movies, westerns, and all, and they're singing "Happy Birthday," it's
a lie.
It did not happen. Did not happen. I don't know what kind of cake it was. They made him a cake, and he was so tickled with it. He said he was going to Tater Hill Bluff, and he's going to name it after that sweet young woman there, or whatever. Yeah. So you go to tell people this, and no, she was a little girl. She was a little girl. No, if he was turning 45, you do the math, because we know when he was born and when she was born. Yeah. I can't remember that off the top of my head, but if you do the math or whatever, she was in her 20s. But people want to. It's got this picture in their head of this cute little girl with a 12 years old with a birthday cake. Yeah. And so he traveled on beyond that and came to the settlement and set up and became part of what was going on. And I don't remember what year exactly that was, but it was before the town was incorporated. But eventually he had a hand in helping choose the name. They say that's one of the ways. Mm-hmm. But one of the reasons it's called Arcadia. There are a couple of others. But I tell people we should be grateful that Arcadia Albritton went by her first name, because otherwise we would be living in Matilda, Florida.
Matilda. Well, that wouldn't be so bad, would it?
No, but I really
Matilda.
think Tater Hill Bluff would have been a good.
Same here.
It's unique.
That's right.
And everybody said, "Where in the world they get that name?" Tater Hill, like 2-egg. It's like something different. There's
Super cool.
If you look across the United States, there's a ton of Arcadias.
There is.
Arcadia, Louisiana, Arcadia, California.
Missouri,
My son's right now in
Missouri.
Arcadia, Michigan, doing a job up there.
Yep.
They're all over
I
the
saw
place.
up in Virginia when we were on the road last year.
Arcadia means peaceful, doesn't it?
Peaceful, placid. It's a Greek word. A lot of people think that they chose it because of that.
Peace River, yeah.
Because of that, and another theory is that the first postmaster here for the city, I think his name was David Williams, had a brother living in Arcadia, Louisiana, and they think the name came from there because he liked that name.
Who named the Peace River?
Well, Peace River was originally called Pease, Peas, Pease Creek, because these plants that grew along that resemble peas.
Yeah.
They called it Pease Creek, but it grew into Pease River and eventually Peace River. Now, they say because of the peace treaties that were signed along it somewhere. I don't really see anything that proves that or whatever. But I think it's because it's so peaceful.
Yeah.
It starts up in Bartow. It flows out of
A green swamp.
a lake up there, Lake Hancock. I think
Isn't that
is
the
name
green
of it.
swamp?
I don't know.
I think it is.
But when
Maybe
it comes out of that lake, it's so small you can step across it, and it grows wider and deeper as it comes this way. And the bridge that we know, but goes between Port Charlotte and Punta Gorda, that long bridge, that's the mouth. That's where it pours into the Gulf, and it's a mile wide.
Yeah.
Peace River is a mile wide by the time it gets down there.
Wow.
But anyway, that's a little bit of history.
Yeah. And then you got the others they're not even burgs, they were villages.
Yeah, little settlements and communities.
But they were, at one time, they were considered big.
Well,
Like
at one
Fort
time,
Ogden,
too,
like Nocatee.
That's right.
Pine Level was a capital. I'm not capital. The county seat.
That's right. It was a thriving community. It was
And
really
it was
big.
like an old West place, too. There was a lot of...
They said the saloons outnumbered the businesses in
And they
Pine
had
Level.
shootouts. And
Yeah, and
Shootouts.
I've driven out there several times.
Never
Just
been
driving
shot at.
around, I'm thinking,
There's no buildings
and
out there.
everything that they said that used to be here, I'd be able to look at, where?
Well, it actually was, the original settlement was 2 miles, 2 miles south, 2 miles north of there. I forget which, but anyway, when the East-West Railroad came through from coast to coast in 1914, I think it was, it was like 2 miles away from Pine Level. It went right through where Arcadia is. And Arcadia had already been established.
stole the thunder.
Yeah, so that the town started drying up and dying. They picked up and moved the town to where the settlement of Pine Level is now. Now it's just a bunch of roads and houses out there, but the town was further away from that. But they moved to keep from dying. Then the railroad, turns out, only lasted 20 years. It shut down in 1935, and then the town dried up and died after that. But it came right through Arcadia. But the railroad had come through, I think, in 1886, I think, is when the railroad came through Arcadia going north to south, coming down.
And what a lot of people don't know is that part of the city of Arcadia that is on the east side on Highway 70 at one time was called, is a little nickname for the area, was Coon Prairie.
That's exactly
Where
right.
we got the
Where
name,
we got the name
Coon
for
Prairie Ramblers.
That's right.
From Coon Prairie.
Out where Walmart and all that stuff is.
So, any famous landmark at Coon Prairie?
No, it's just a prairie.
Just
When we grew up, it was all pasture out there.
Yeah.
That's just
It
been
was
in our
nothing.
lifetime.
yeah.
There was nothing.
There's nothing.
There was
out
hardly anything past Klein Tractor Company.
Yeah.
there. And that which sat
And
where Domino's
Pine
is.
Point, yeah, that was about it.
You had Pine Point, which is now El Parada, and there wasn't much out there.
Domino's being the one
The
that's
Domino's Pizza was where Frank Klein's tractor service was. It was a very large building where they.
Route 31.
And right
No, at Airport Road.
Airport Road.
at 31 where it runs into 70, there's a little, I guess you'd call it a community, 2 or 3 roads where there's houses in there. That's been there as long as I can remember.
Yeah, that was there a long time.
But there's also, you go further on out, you could see where the old road was.
Yeah, Carlstrom Field Road was one of the old roads that's back there now. Well, we're down to about 30 seconds now, so
I'm held in awe here.
you're held in awe. Well, there's plenty more to tell if you want to come back to Arcadia and Soda County. There's plenty of stories to tell, but
Some that shouldn't be told.
that's right. Some can never be told. Take them to the grave. Well, We're going to have to take a break here, so y'all run and use the bat room, and we'll see you in a couple.